Welcome everyone, and happy Thursday. It is noon Eastern time, Thursday last week, because we're here at I Am Phenom when we recorded a bunch of great sessions. Always a pleasure to meet with our prospects and clients while we are here, but you're gonna get all that information later when we release our recaps and stuff like that. Today, of course, we're doing Talent Experience Live, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Kyle Forrest of Deloitte to talk about HR Reimagined. We had a free-flowing conversation about how things are changing, what we expect to see in the future. But before we get into that, of course, I have to pay the bills around these parts. Talent Experience Live is proudly brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose is to help 1 billion find the right work. That's why we host fantastic events like this, why we are at every single HR tech event under the sun, and why we have another fantastic podcast with Cliff Yerkowitz, why we have webinars, the whole nine. You can check it all out at iamphenom.com. Now, helping a billion tall tasks, we don't do that just through podcasts and webinars. We do it through our applied AI talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond. Recruiters achieve next level productivity and efficiency, and managers get to build a better team through data analytics and automation. So if any of that interests you at all, run, don't walk to phenom.com and tell them that Devin sent you. I'm kidding, there's no way, shape, or form that you can do that, but you get the idea. Now that the bills are paid, let's jump right into the conversation that Kyle and I had here at I Am Phenom. Welcome to the program, Kyle. Welcome to I Am Phenom. How's your day been so far?
It's been great. It's my second year here. Both years, a lot of energy from people who I think are really excited to share with each other and learn all about applied AI, since I know that's something that Phenom is really big in delivering to its customers.
Yeah, I know this afternoon you have an upcoming session on HR Reimagined. I know you're going to dive a lot into AI as we look around. It's all around us. What makes this shift so much different? We've been talking about AI for 5-10 years now in the human resource space. What makes the applied AI shift different and a bigger deal this time around?
There's a couple different things that make it bigger now. And part of our HR Reimagined series really dug into the fact that as you look at technological shifts over time, a lot of that was focused on the automation of tasks, right? Whether that was through a workflow, through something like robotics process automation. But as you get into applied AI, it builds on things like machine learning, where you had a tool technology that was able to begin to grow and react and evolve, right? But for much of our artificial intelligence's history, it was very expensive to do that. Now applied AI is able to do that at scale in organizations across domains where there's judgment coming in, interpretation, different types of skill sets and capabilities, which has often been the premise of the human resources function, right? You think about the topics that get addressed there, unlike some other functions where it is a bit more transactional or rules-based. So there's a lot of excitement around what might this mean, not only for the HR profession, but the customers, right? The workers, the managers, the leaders. So those are ultimately who HR professionals want to drive value for.
Yeah, they're who are going to benefit the most, right? You're able to talk to an agent of some sort, show your true self in an interview, as opposed to being kind of melted down to just one piece of paper or resume or what have you. You mentioned within the HR Reimagined series going on offense. Is that diving headfirst into this technology, kind of getting your hands dirty with it so that you don't fall behind the eight ball? What does that mean to go on offense when it comes to this?
Yeah, so broadly, to your point, what we posited in the HR Reimagined piece is that for the HR function, it's important to lead from the front. This is not a moment in time to wait and wait for some other leader or some other function to set the strategy for where AI capabilities are going to evolve work in an organization. And so if you think about an HR function, the HR profession should be the function that knows work the best. They are asked by the business to help hire it, develop it, retain it, incentivize it. And so they've got a pulse on the internal and external talent market. And so if the HR function really jumps headfirst into what is AI and automation's impact on work, you can combine that knowledge and understanding of the technology trends with the knowledge and understanding of the world at work to really help the business rethink how you're going to drive human capital value for an organization.
Yeah. You mentioned previously a little bit about the cost efficiency of this. It used to be grossly expensive to really roll out functioning AI within your system. For years, HR teams have always been viewed as a cost center. I know we've fought the good fight of trying to change that narrative over the years. With this technology and it being more readily accessible to folks, is there truly an opportunity for HR teams to create value within the business? I mean, I view them as that. They're hiring sales folks, they're hiring people that do add to the bottom line. Can they start to paint that story to executives that this technology will create value for across the organization?
Not only can they should. And when you think about what are business executives often trying to solve, to your point, I have sales leader roles unfilled, or engineering roles unfilled, or pick it, or there is complexity in my business processes for getting to a deal that's closed, or helping a customer resolve an issue, or innovating faster. New market entry, M&A, you name it. Those are all business issues that leaders are tackling. What the HR team has as a tremendous opportunity is to take the understanding of the AI capabilities, understanding of the work, pair those two together, and help the business redesign work, right? And so if you're able to simplify how work gets done, think about what tasks and work should be done by AI and automation capabilities versus what should uniquely be done by humans, that should drive tremendous value, because now you are spending the right focus of people on the right things. That leads to faster decision making. That should help drive sales faster, address customer issues faster, and prevent cost leakage or other things. All of that is business value creation, which is at the heart of our HR Reimagined series as well. How can the HR function continue to create value for the business and the humans within it, and then your human customers?
I want to call out one thing you didn't mention there: taking away jobs, right? Because this is a narrative that won't go away. It's not going to go away anytime soon. You didn't mention that work will be replaced by, or individuals, will be replaced by this technology. I want to talk about that point a little bit more, because you had mentioned that we're reimagining how we do work, right? Taking away some of those mundane tasks, inserting automation. Is there a way for HR professionals, HR executives to spin that narrative that this isn't going to take away jobs? However, it is going to continue to create value. Because I think when you hear value creation right off the bat, it's, we can fire our worst recruiter. We don't want that. I don't think anybody here wants that. So explain that to me, how it's not going to take away some of those particular roles.
Absolutely. When I talk with CHROs, business leaders around the AI and automation topic, I acknowledge there are many trends impacting the world of work. There are demographic trends in many developed countries where there's an aging workforce, and there have actually been workforce and talent shortages of skilled labor, whether that's in technical roles, electrical engineers, electricians, you name it, to shortages in knowledge working roles. And actually in the HR profession, I actually have a number of clients right now who are like, one of my hardest hires is payroll. Right? People who truly understand payroll knowledge and domain expertise in the different geographies in which we operate, because of the regulatory and compliance requirement complexity that has increased around the world, right? So if you take all of that and then bring that back to this topic around AI and automation, there is a lot of work that people spend time on that they would probably acknowledge is not the best usage of their time. Whether that's I have to spend a lot of time digging through notes and navigating performance management forms and writing things that fit a certain character count. Whether that's approving expenses that are within policy guidelines for an organization, right? That is time away from value creation. And so for the HR profession, HR professionals, the ability to free up that time means more time spent helping the business. And then if you're able to take that time helping the business free up its own time, you're now helping drive, top and bottom line, impact, right? And so I do think there are tremendous examples out of the market of where companies are shifting the narrative from AI and automation being a cost efficiency play to a value creation play, which is something that we also dug into more broadly than just in the HR function through our 2026 Human Capital Trends Report.
Yeah. You mentioned the financial services. I liken it to, I use this example all the time, but the ATM or the Mac machine, since we were here in Philadelphia, right? Automated teller machine. People thought that it was going to replace bank tellers. It's a regulated industry. You're dealing with people's money.
Yep.
Yes, it may have removed the aspect of you having to, cash a check in order to get your funds immediately. But there are still bank tellers. They are dealing with some of those more sensitive things, as you mentioned with payroll, right? Making sure expense reports are correct, making sure that people get paid on time. Those are stuff that, yes, you can automate some of the processes, but you need a human there to kind of raise their hand if something's going wrong. Moving on to diving forward, how are organizations able to truly scale this, right? I think we've outlined a number of benefits during this conversation. How can companies make sure that they're putting their right foot forward in order to reap some of the benefits that we've mentioned today?
Yeah. There's 3 things that I suggest to any organization as far as a place to start to really drive benefit. Number 1, you need to be explicit to your workforce with your view as a company for how AI and automation is going to evolve the work in your organization. And at Deloitte, we use a framework with organizations that I tell everyone I speak with, and so everyone who's listening, feel free to take this framework. Is work in the future going to be AI assisted, AI augmented, or AI powered? What that means is, how does the work of today evolve into the work of tomorrow? AI assisted roles, you think HR business partners, sales executives, others, it's a lot of human to human interaction, right? In the future, you're going to use AI and automation capabilities to do it faster, better, different, but there's still going to be a ton of human to human interaction. Other end of the spectrum, AI powered, means the work of today is probably going to be done by mostly AI and automation capabilities in the future. So the work of the human will change, right? A lot of organizations are focusing in the operations space on that. So you think HR operations, recruiting operations, finance operations, sales operations, you name it, just the work will shift. Maybe you start managing a team of agents. Maybe you're responsible for making sure that all of the knowledge content that's informing agentic responses to your workers and customers is accurate and updated as that learns and grows, right? So that's number 1, right? Tell your organization where you see work shifting against that assisted, augmented, powered spectrum.
Yep.
The second thing is then be very clear on your organizational stance for what work you want to be done by humans versus by AI and automation, right? And there are some organizations who are going to lean harder and say, we want more work to be done by AI and automation capabilities because that ties to our business strategy and our culture and you name it. Mm-hmm. But that's not new. That's the same stance as companies took with something like self-service. Are we pushing a lot of self-service? Do we have a white glove, very hands-on help, right? Mm-hmm. But you just have to be explicit about it because otherwise the workforce will have questions. Yeah. And so then the third piece is very much tell your organization what tools are you going to give them? Yeah. How do you expect them to use it? How do you expect them to learn and share their learnings, right? Because if they're not using it, if they're not learning and they're not sharing those learning, there's no way you're going to get the ROI from the technology investment, right? And the 3 things that I just shared there, they're not buy more technology, right? Those are the human aspects that you have to focus on paired with the technology that you're buying, because the narrative out, and I think every company has acknowledged it, this is not a technology problem. Yeah. This is a human problem. This is a people problem, right? And so you have to take those human actions to get the value that organizations are seeking.
Yeah, absolutely. When you outline it like that, it sounds so simple.
Sounds so simple.
There has to be something that's holding organizations back from achieving this, right? Immediately what comes to my mind is people kind of piecemealing what their needs are today versus what their needs are in the future. Is that the most common thing that's holding folks back, is trying to make sense of, you've been to HR Tech, you're going to Unleash next week. There are organizations all across the business that say that they're going to help your specific needs. What's holding people back from achieving the success that you just outlined?
What I think is holding people back is a combination of, number 1, not having an explicit vision and approach for where the business is going to evolve. And so you, in essence, have pilots and pockets of the organization tackling things independently. I think secondarily is people do feel overwhelmed because every technology provider at their company is saying, hey, I've got AI and automation capabilities, use mine, right? And that becomes the nuance with a truly agentic workflow, end to end, to deliver measurable double-digit % business value. you're going to need a combination of capabilities to come together, right? There's not going to be any one company that solves it. Otherwise, that's not going to be the $1 trillion company. That's going to be the end all be all, company. And then I think number 3, there's, again, a lot of things happening in the world of work and the world at large. And in our 2026 Human Capital Trends Report, we had an interesting statistic that said 7 in 10 leaders, and there were 9,000 respondents to the survey, 70 different countries, but 7 in 10 leaders said their business strategy right now is be fast and nimble. If you are being fast and nimble, sometimes that means you are not focused, right? And in the world of AI and automation, where you've got compute power doubling every 6 months, new capabilities rolling out from vendors, I think people are approaching fast and nimble and losing some focus. Yeah. And by being able, which brings me back to number 1, to be explicit, here's our path, here's how we're going to do it, let's move forward. And yes, we're going to evolve as we go, but we've got an explicit path forward. I think that's part of what some organizations are missing.
Yeah, and understanding that your North Star is not going to be achieved tomorrow, right? You have to take those baby steps because it is overwhelming. I get overwhelmed with some of the AI technologies. I'm bouncing back from ChatGPT to Gemini all over the place. I'm like, where did I generate that image of Francis? Can't find it. So I need to focus. That's good advice for me as well. One thing I want to circle back on is you mentioned the payroll positions, that being super challenging. As we look forward into the future, as we look forward towards that North Star, are there any aspects of the HR function that you think will be completely eliminated, right? I mentioned the bank teller before.
Sure.
We're cashing our checks through ATMs now. What parts of that are going to be eliminated? Because I still think you mentioned we need that human-to-human interaction, right?
Sure.
Doesn't take away from video agents or voice agents or anything like that, but they're still going to be there. So what will go the way of the dodo bird in 5 to 10 years, I guess?
Sure. So a couple months ago, actually, I was reading a perspective that I think we're about 100 years from the birth of the HR profession, right? As a personnel department, right? And you acknowledged the ATM earlier. You think, what has personnel shifting into the HR function evolved? It's gone from, expansion of electricity, which I know many people now are comparing electricity to AI, right? It took 40 years for the introduction of electricity into factory floors to really redesign the factory and get to 3 8-hour shifts and things like that. So it's gone from electricity, computers, mobile devices, companies that have gone global, so all sorts of things. And throughout there is work activities that have changed, and I think that's important because much of the AI and automation conversation has brought about this new word as well: work intelligence, task intelligence, right? And so there is work. I don't think any work will be eliminated per se. What will happen is, again, the companies will decide what work do I want to be done by machines, AI and automation. And so humans might stop doing the work. And also some HR functions might say, we're going to stop doing that work, period. Yeah. Because it's not the right usage of our time, whether delivered by machines or humans. And as that work stops being done by humans or stops being done, period, the work of the humans will evolve. So the capability demands that I'm hearing from CHROs, from the business that they're pulling on them, is more dynamic workforce planning, more dynamic organizational design. How do I think about team design and team effectiveness? How can I bring the human-centered design capabilities back out into redesigning work and workflows, right? So it's some of the capabilities that actually have been in the profession for a while, maybe weren't as in demand for a period and are now coming back full force, right? So I think there will be plenty to do. Yeah. People will learn new things, right, and have to flex new muscles. But I think it really just becomes where is an organization allocating work to be done within their business? I
think the overall employee is going to change. We're going to, you watch Ted Lasso ever?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
The concept of total football, right? Where you have multiple people who can score goals on the team with the ability to create or really accomplish very complex tasks with AI. You're going to see people putting their hands in a lot more different areas of work, right? And being able to shift, allowing folks to take vacations and filling in for them. I think it's going to be very exciting. This is going to be taboo for me to say working at Phenom, but I think the best application process is no application process at all. We talk about it with referrals all the time. I foresee a future where you're interested in an organization, You hop on with a voice agent, you tell them about yourself, what your goals are, what you're looking
Yeah.
for. And when there is a need, it's going to align with that database of individuals, right? You can refresh your information every 6 or so months, right? And I think that's something that candidates would appreciate, that they can stand out more than that resume, like I mentioned. You think that's science fiction or?
Well, I think to your point, I think companies are really excited about a couple things. How do they actually uncover candidates that they missed before, right? So it truly expand their talent pool.
Yep.
And number two is one of the ways that they're able to do that by offering those type of capabilities that meets people where they are, right? So I've got 3 daughters, right? I work a full-time job. Maybe the easiest time for me is to apply to a new role is at 5:30 a.m. when I'm walking the dog. Well, the hiring managers or a recruiter is not going to want to interview me at 5:30 a.m. unless they happen to be in another time zone. So if I'm able to hop on with a voice agent or go through the process, and that accelerates me through to get, hey, you're actually a really qualified candidate. We should invest in talking to this person, right? Like think of the power of that, right? Otherwise, I might have been lost as a candidate to someone because there was no way in juggling 3 kids in a job that I was able to carve out the time to go explore a role that I might be really excited about. So there's tremendous potential there.
Yeah, I could see it down the line. There's been a number of articles I've read in the past about the way that different genders apply to jobs, right? Men are willing to apply to jobs where maybe they meet 60% of their qualifications. Women need to meet 80, right? If you remove that aspect and allow folks to just be themselves on a call, you're going to open up your pool of candidates all the time.
Right.
Kyle, is there anything I missed today? Anything that you wanted to talk about that maybe I didn't get a chance to ask you?
Yeah, I think I would just reiterate 3 things. One, there is plenty of technology out there, and the vendors are continuing to innovate tremendously. I mean, Phenom, every year that I've been here at IM Phenom, launches some tremendous opportunities and is continuing to really drive on the applied AI front, right? So AI that is in production, in reality, not just a hypothetical. So sit down with your vendors to get a better understanding of like what's there in reality and start using it. Second, everything that I shared earlier was all about what are you doing around the people, right? So make sure you have a clear strategy with the workforce. Let them know how you expect work to evolve. Let them know how you're going to support them on that learning journey of upskill, reskill, redeployment, or whatever it would be. And then third, acknowledge that with all the speed of what's changing, today is the worst it's ever going to be. So tomorrow it's going to be better because the technology will learn from you. The vendors will collaborate and continue to deploy more innovation. And if you can get your workforce engaged in that learning journey, now you've got all the combination, all the ingredients to get the momentum needed to really deliver on that business, value creation promise.
Absolutely. I love that sentiment. Today's the worst it's going to be. It's
Yeah.
always going to be better tomorrow.
I'm an optimist by heart.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. Safe travels back to California.
Awesome.
And can't wait to have you on the program again.
Yeah.
And I am Phenom next year as well.
Count me in.
Right,
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. Really enjoyed the conversation. Hope you had safe travels back home. I can't wait to do it again next year in person at IM Phenom in April. We're going to have a few more episodes come out over the following few weeks, so look forward. I know I sat down with CBS, RBC, and a few others. Can't wait to see you next Thursday, but in the meantime, everyone have a safe, happy, and healthy Thursday. We'll see you real soon. Thanks so much. Bye.